Tonight on ZZZcience, we'll drift together into the quiet corners of the universe. Whether your mind is racing or your body just needs rest, these gentle stories of science are here to help you slow down and drift off with ease. Let the noise soften, the edges blur, and your thoughts settle like leaves on still water. Tonight, we are staying grounded on Earth. Life on this planet is more mysterious, more resilient, and more extraordinary than most of us ever imagine. From glowing oceans to immortal jellyfish, from ancient underground forests to microscopic creatures that can live in space, Earth is alive in ways that will surprise you, soothe you, and stir something deep within you. Some of what you hear may change how you see the world. Other discoveries might simply float by like petals on a breeze, gentle, curious, and quietly unforgettable. If this kind of peaceful wonder brings you calm or sparks your curiosity, consider liking and subscribing. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, let yourself get comfortable. Take a deep breath and let us begin this slow and soothing journey through the miracles of life on Earth. As a jellyfish that can live forever, near the warm coastal waters of the Mediterranean and in oceans around the world drifts a creature that defies one of nature's most universal laws. The Tauratopsis dorni, often called the immortal jellyfish, has a remarkable ability. When injured, aged, or threatened, it can revert its body to an earlier stage of life. Like a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar, it returns to its polyp form, the jellyfish equivalent of childhood, and begins again. This process is not just theoretical. It has been observed repeatedly in laboratories. The jellyfish can cycle through its life stages over and over, potentially forever, unless it is eaten or destroyed. While it does not hold the key to eternal life for humans, it reminds us that nature's imagination far exceeds our own. Here, floating quietly in the sea, is a creature that rewinds time, not once, but again and again. Trees whisper to each other through a hidden network. In the stillness of a forest, there is a secret conversation taking place beneath your feet. Trees, long thought to be solitary giants, are connected by underground networks of fungal threads known as mycorrhiza. Through these delicate filaments, trees exchange nutrients, send chemical signals, and even share warnings about pests or drought. Older trees, sometimes called mother trees, support their offspring by funneling sugars and resources through this hidden web. It is not a metaphor. It is a biological network so vast and complex that some scientists have begun calling it the Wood Wide Web. A birch tree might support a neighboring fir. A dying tree may pass its last energy to the forest. It is a quiet form of intelligence, not conscious but deeply cooperative. In this silent world of roots and fungi, the forest is not a collection of individuals, but a single breathing, sharing community. Tardigrades can survive in outer space. They are tiny, strange, and nearly indestructible, and they are called tardigrades, though many know them by their nickname, water bears. These microscopic creatures are less than a millimeter long and look like wrinkled eight-legged gummy bears under a microscope. But do not let their size fool you. Tardigrades can survive conditions that would destroy almost any other form of life. Freezing temperatures close to absolute zero, boiling heat, crushing pressure, radiation, and even the vacuum of space. In 2007, scientists launched them into orbit and they came back alive. How do they do it? By entering a state called cryptobiosis. In this mode, they dry themselves out almost completely and suspend their metabolism. They do not die, they just wait, sometimes for years, and when water returns, they reawaken. Tardigrades remind us that life is tougher, stranger, and more adaptable than we ever imagined. Even when drifting through the stars, oxygen was once a deadly poison. Today, we breathe it with every moment. But long ago, oxygen was Earth's most dangerous pollutant. Over 2 billion years ago, early microbial life thrived in an oxygen-free atmosphere. These ancient organisms, known as anaerobes, were the planet's first inhabitants. But then came cyanobacteria, tiny photosynthetic microbes that began releasing oxygen as a byproduct. At first, it was not much. But over millions of years, oxygen accumulated in the oceans and air, triggering what is now known as the Great Oxidation Event. For countless anaerobic species, oxygen was toxic. It corroded cells, disrupted ancient metabolisms, and caused a mass extinction. But for others, this invisible gas became a new source of energy. Eventually, it powered the rise of complex, multicellular life, including us. So, in a way, the breath that keeps you alive is also the legacy of a mass extinction. Oxygen is not just life-giving. Its history is written in every inhale. Some plants eat animals. We often picture plants as passive, green, and gentle, reaching quietly for the sun. But not all plants wait politely for nutrients. Some go hunting. Carnivorous plants, like the Venus flytrap, pitcher plant, and sundew lure insects with sweet scents or sticky nectar, and then snap or trap. A Venus flytrap counts the footsteps of its prey, only closing when it senses multiple touches. Pitcher plants form deep, slippery wells filled with digestive enzymes, where insects slide in and cannot escape. Others, like sundews, glisten with tiny tentacles that curl around their prey like slow, sticky arms. Why do they do it? Because they live in poor soil, places where nitrogen is hard to find. So they adapt, not with teeth or claws, but with patience and clever design. These quiet predators remind us that survival takes many forms, and even the gentlest green leaf might hide a hidden appetite. Every leaf is a masterpiece of design with a unique pattern. Just like fingerprints, hold a leaf up to the light, and you will see a quiet miracle. Each one is a finely tuned machine, soft to the touch, yet crafted with microscopic precision. At its heart lies a delicate network of veins, like rivers branching across a landscape. These carry water, minerals, and sugars to every corner of the leaf, fueling the process of photosynthesis. The surface is dotted with tiny pores called stomata, valves that open and close to let carbon dioxide in and oxygen out. The green pigment chlorophyll captures sunlight and converts it into energy. Not just for the plant, but for nearly every living thing on Earth. Some leaves can track the sun across the sky. Others repel water, trap insects, or store heat. No two are exactly the same in form and function. Each leaf is a masterpiece, fragile, beautiful, and alive with purpose. Some oceans glow in the dark. Imagine walking along a quiet beach at night and seeing the waves glow with an eerie blue-green light. This phenomenon is real, and it is caused by tiny living things known as bioluminescent plankton. When disturbed by movement, like a crashing wave or the swirl of a swimmer's hand, they release a flash of cold light. It is not reflected moonlight, but a chemical reaction inside their bodies. The same kind of glow used by fireflies in the sky. In places like Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico or the Maldives, this glow can light up entire shorelines, turning the sea into a shimmering dreamscape. No electricity, no magic, just biology. Bioluminescence has evolved many times in Earth's oceans, used for everything from camouflage to communication. And here, in the darkened tide, the sea offers a quiet, glowing reminder that even in the darkest waters, life finds a way to shine. Your body is more microbe than human. You might feel like a single person, one body, one mind. But in reality, you are an entire living community. Your body contains more microbial cells than human ones. Trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea live on your skin, in your mouth, and deep within your gut. This collection is called your microbiome, and it is not just along for the ride. It helps digest your food, train your immune system, produce vitamins, and even influence your mood and behavior. In many ways, the microbiome is an extension of your body's own intelligence, a vast invisible partner in nearly everything you do. Some microbes protect you, others compete with invaders. And just as no two fingerprints are alike, your microbiome is uniquely yours. So the next time you feel alone, remember, you are never truly by yourself. You are a walking ecosystem, a world within a world. Ants can build bridges out of their own bodies. In the forests of South America, army ants are constantly on the move, flowing across the jungle floor like a living river. But when they reach a gap or obstacle, they do not stop. Instead, they build bridges out of themselves. One ant anchors to a branch. Another climbs onto its back. Then another and another until a living structure forms, flexible and strong. Thousands of ants may link together, adjusting in real time to the weight and traffic above them. When the colony is done crossing, the bridge disassembles and the ants rejoin the march. These living bridges are not commanded by a leader. Instead, they emerge from local decisions, each ant responding to its neighbors, guided by instinct and contact. It is a stunning example of collective intelligence, a shape-shifting structure made entirely of life. One body among many, all working as one. Octopuses can rewrite their own DNA in the silent depths of the ocean. The octopus drifts like a dream, shape-shifting, color-shifting, and watching with eerie alien eyes. It is already one of the most intelligent creatures on Earth. But what lies beneath is even stranger. Octopuses can edit their own RNA, the molecular scripts that translate DNA into proteins. While most animals stick to the genetic code they were born with, octopuses can make real-time adjustments to how their genes are expressed. This means they can fine-tune their biology on the fly, altering how their neurons work, how they sense their environment, or how they respond to temperature and stress. It is not the same as changing their DNA, but it gives them remarkable flexibility. We do not fully understand why or how they do this, but it adds one more mystery to a creature that already seems to come from another world. Some animals seem to recognize themselves. Most animals can see their reflection, but very few seem to recognize it. Self-recognition is rare in nature. It is often seen as a sign of higher awareness, a sense of self. In the mirror test, an animal is marked with a spot they cannot see without a reflection. If they try to examine or touch the mark while looking in the mirror, it suggests they know the image is themselves. So far, only a handful of species have passed. Great apes, dolphins, elephants, magpies, and possibly manta rays. Even some fish show signs of mirror awareness. This does not mean they have human-style consciousness, but it hints at something remarkable, that awareness may not be ours alone. The spark of self might flicker in minds very different from ours. And across the tree of life, the boundary between I and other might not be as clear as we once believed. Life has survived 5 mass extinctions. Life on Earth is ancient and astonishingly resilient. Over the past 500 million years, our planet has experienced at least 5 mass extinction events. Each one wiped out the majority of species living at the time. The most devastating, known as the Permian extinction, erased over 90% of marine life and 70% of land species. Volcanoes, asteroids, climate shifts. Each time the world changed, and each time life came back. Not the same life, but something new. From the ashes of extinction, ecosystems reshaped themselves. Tiny survivors became the ancestors of new lineages. It is a quiet testament to the persistence of biology. Life does not just endure. It adapts, evolves, and reinvents itself. We are part of that story, born from ancient survivors who endured darkness and silence and found a way forward. A thread unbroken, even through catastrophe. Mushrooms can control the behavior of insects. In the shaded dampness of a forest, a strange drama unfolds, one that blurs the line between plant and puppet master. Certain fungi like Ophiocordyceps infect insects such as ants, infiltrating their bodies and brains. Once inside, the fungus begins to grow, releasing chemicals that alter the insect's behavior. The ant, now under fungal control, climbs high into the vegetation and clamps onto a leaf or branch. Then it stops. The fungus kills its host and sprouts a stalk from the body, releasing spores to infect others below. It is a gruesome, precise cycle honed over millions of years. Scientists still do not fully understand how the fungus manipulates the nervous system so effectively. But in this quiet war of biology, even the smallest organisms wield astonishing power. The forest is more than green and peaceful. It is full of unseen strategies, some elegant and some terrifying. The color blue is rare in nature. Look around you, the sky, the ocean, the shimmer of butterfly wings. Blue is everywhere. And yet, in the natural world, blue is one of the rarest pigments. Most blue creatures, like blue jays, morpher butterflies, or peacocks, do not actually contain blue pigment at all. Instead, their color comes from structure. Microscopic patterns on their surfaces bend and scatter light in a way that reflects blue wavelengths. It is called structural coloration, and it is an optical illusion made by shape, not dye. True blue pigments are hard for living organisms to make, and few have managed it. That makes every natural blue a kind of trick, an interaction between light and the tiniest architecture. So the next time you see a flash of blue in the wild, remember you are not just seeing color. You are seeing light dancing on the edge of biology and physics. Elephants grieve their dead. Among the grasses and dust of the savannah, elephants do something few other animals are known to do. They mourn. When an elephant comes across the bones of a deceased relative or friend, it slows down. It touches the remains with its trunk. It lingers. Some have been observed returning to the same spot years later, gently examining the bones again. Elephants have even been seen standing guard over the dying, staying nearby, refusing to leave. Their grief may not be exactly like ours, but it is something deeply felt. They form strong family bonds, remember old companions, and seem to carry emotional weight. It is a quiet truth that humbles us, that empathy, loss, and love may not belong only to humans. In the hearts of these great gentle giants, something very old and tender stirs. a recognition of life's impermanence. Coral reefs are built by tiny animal architects. Coral reefs are among the most vibrant ecosystems on Earth, but they are not built by plants or rocks. They are built by animals. Each coral is a colony of tiny creatures called polyps. They feed by extending stinging tentacles to catch plankton, and they build their homes by secreting calcium carbonate, creating the stony skeletons that form reefs. Over time, these skeletons accumulate, forming massive underwater structures that can stretch for hundreds of miles. And within these reefs, life flourishes. Fish, crustaceans, mollusks, sea turtles, and countless others. Despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor, coral reefs support nearly a quarter of all marine life. They are living cities built not by design, but by the slow labor of millions of unseen architects. Delicate, colorful, and deeply vulnerable, reefs are a reminder of how much life can rise from the smallest hands. Slime molds can solve mazes without a brain. They look like something from a science fiction movie, and in many ways, they behave like it too. Slime molds are single-celled organisms that live in soil, decaying wood, and other damp environments. They have no brain, no nervous system, and yet they can solve mazes. In laboratory experiments, scientists placed a slime mold in the maze with food at 2 exits. The slime spreads out in all directions, then pulls back, leaving behind the most efficient path between the 2 points. It does not think, it does not plan, but somehow it figures it out. Slime molds use chemical gradients and feedback to explore their environment, a kind of distributed intelligence written into their bodies. They have even been used to model transportation networks, showing surprising parallels to human systems. It is a strange, mesmerizing reminder that intelligence comes in many forms, and not all of them need a brain. The Amazon makes its own rain. The Amazon rainforest does not just absorb rain, it creates it. Each day, as sunlight warms the canopy, billions of trees release moisture into the air through a process called transpiration. This vapor rises, cools, and condenses into clouds, which then fall again as rain, feeding the forest below. It is a cycle so vast and efficient that the Amazon generates much of its own weather. This self-sustaining loop helps regulate the climate of an entire continent and even influences weather patterns across the Atlantic. The forest is not just a collection of trees, but a vast breathing system. And when parts of it are lost through deforestation or fire, the cycle weakens, rain lessens, droughts spread. The Amazon is often called the lungs of the earth, but it is also the beating heart of South America's skies, pulsing moisture, breath, and life into the air itself. Some frogs freeze, solid, and still survive. In the icy stillness of winter, some frogs undergo one of the most astonishing transformations in the animal kingdom. They freeze. Not just slow down, but literally turn solid. The wood frog of North America can survive being frozen for days or even weeks. Its heart stops. Its blood turns to ice, organs shut down, and its body stiffens completely. But thanks to natural antifreeze compounds in its tissues, the frog cells remain intact. When spring returns and temperatures rise, the ice melts and the frog wakes up, hopping away as if nothing happened. It is not a metaphor. It is cryogenic survival perfected by evolution. Scientists study these frogs in hopes of learning how to preserve human tissues or understand extreme biological resilience. For now, they remain quiet miracles of adaptation. Tiny amphibians that defy winter's grip and return heartbeat by heartbeat. To the living world, whales can sing across entire oceans. Beneath the surface of the sea, songs drift through the dark. Long, slow, and haunting, the calls of blue whales can travel for thousands of miles underwater. These low-frequency vocalizations are among the loudest and deepest sounds made by any animal. And in the quiet depths, they can echo from coast to coast. Whales use these songs to find mates, to navigate, and to communicate across vast distances. Each population has its own dialect, and their songs can evolve over time, passed down like oral traditions. Some species, like the humpback, create long, intricate melodies that shift year by year, with different whales contributing new phrases. We do not fully understand everything they are saying, but we know it matters. These are not random sounds. They are messages shared across a watery world among creatures who have roamed Earth's oceans for longer than any human memory. Seeds can lie dormant for thousands of years. Seeds are tiny time travelers. They may seem like simple, lifeless things, but inside they carry the blueprint for life and sometimes an incredible patience. Some seeds can remain dormant for decades, even centuries, waiting for the perfect moment to sprout. In one remarkable case, a date palm seed found in a 2,000-year-old archaeological site was successfully germinated in modern times. It had slept through empires, seasons, and silence. Then, with water and warmth, it awoke and grew. Other seeds survive freezing, fire, or burial under meters of earth. They are equipped with protective coats, complex chemistry, and finely tuned sensitivity to their environment. When the moment is right, not before, they begin again. In every seed is a quiet promise that life can wait, endure, and return. A single grain of stillness holding the future in its shell. Bioluminescence has evolved over 40 times. The glow of fireflies, the twinkle of plankton in the surf, the flicker of a deep-sea anglerfish's lure. These lights are not borrowed. They are made by life itself. Bioluminescence, the ability to produce light through chemical reactions, has evolved independently at least 40 times across the tree of life. From bacteria to fungi, from squid to jellyfish, organisms have developed their own ways to glow. Some use light to attract prey, others to warn predators. Some use it to find mates or to vanish in plain sight. In the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches, bioluminescence is everywhere, a flickering, drifting constellation of living stars. The chemistry is elegant. An enzyme called luciferase interacts with a light-producing molecule called luciferin, releasing energy as visible light. Simple, silent, and stunning. A shared language of glow that life has written again and again in caves, in waves, and in the furthest corners of darkness. Your bones are made of stardust. It is not poetry. It is physics. The calcium in your bones, the very structure that holds you upright, was forged in the heart of ancient stars. In the final moments of a massive star's life, elements heavier than helium are created through nuclear fusion. When the star explodes in a supernova, those elements are scattered across space. Over time, they drift into clouds of dust and gas, mixing and settling until gravity pulls them together once more. Planets form, oceans rise, and eventually, on one small blue world, life begins. The calcium, iron, carbon, and oxygen in your body all come from those ancient stars. You do not just live in the universe. You are the universe, arranged in a pattern that can think, breathe, and wonder. You are quite literally made of stardust, walking on a world shaped by light and time. Some insects can see in ultraviolet. When you look at a flower, you see color, maybe yellow, red, or blue. But to many insects, especially bees, flowers look completely different. That is because they can see ultraviolet light, a part of the spectrum invisible to the human eye. To them, the plain-looking petal might blaze with glowing patterns, landing guides, and radiant rings, all designed to lead them to the nectar within. These patterns are not just beautiful, they are functional, evolved through mutual benefit. The flower gets pollinated, the bee gets fed. Other insects use ultraviolet vision to navigate, to find mates, or to spot predators. Even the humble cabbage butterfly sees the world in shades we cannot imagine. So while we share the same planet, we do not share the same visual world. There is a hidden spectrum all around us, filled with light signs and colors we will never quite see. Kangaroos can pause their pregnancies. Deep in the heart of the Australian outback, kangaroos carry a remarkable secret: the ability to pause time inside their own bodies. When conditions are harsh, or when a joey is already in the pouch, a mother kangaroo can delay the development of a fertilized egg. This phenomenon, called embryonic diapause, lets her body wait for the right moment to continue the pregnancy. She might be nurturing one joey outside the womb, one in the pouch, and have a third on pause all at once. When food becomes available or the pouch is vacated, the embryo resumes development. It is a brilliant strategy for survival in an unpredictable climate. This natural pause button means kangaroos can time their reproduction with incredible precision. In a land of extremes, nature has given them flexibility, acquired mastery over time written into their biology. Some fish can change their sex in the colorful chaos of coral reefs. Some fish carry an astonishing secret. They can change from male to female or the other way around. Clownfish, for example, live in small social groups with a strict hierarchy. The largest fish is female, and only she breeds with the dominant male. If she dies, the male changes sex, becoming the new matriarch. In other species, like wrasses, females can become males, often when the dominant male disappears. This transition is not just behavioral, it is biological. Hormones shift, organs restructure, roles reverse. It is a natural adaptation that helps maintain reproduction in dynamic environments. In the ocean, identity is not always fixed. It can shift with need, with opportunity, or with the currents of chance. And in these quiet transformations, we see just how fluid life can be. Flexible, responsive, and endlessly surprising. Birds navigate using Earth's magnetic field. Every year, birds travel thousands of miles across mountains, oceans, and even continents, returning to the same nesting sites with pinpoint precision. How do they do it? One secret lies deep within their biology: the ability to sense Earth's magnetic field. Some birds have tiny crystals of magnetite in their beaks or heads, acting like internal compasses. Others may use specialized proteins in their eyes, allowing them to see magnetic fields as patterns or visual cues. This magnetic sense, called magnetoception, works alongside the sun, stars, and landscape to guide their way. It is a subtle and elegant system, an ancient map etched into the nervous system. We do not yet understand every detail, but we know it works. Birds fly home not just by memory or instinct, but by feeling the invisible forces that surround the Earth itself. The Earth breathes through the carbon cycle. The Earth is alive in more ways than we often realize, and one of its deepest rhythms is the carbon cycle. Carbon moves through air, water, plants, animals, and rocks in a slow, interconnected flow. When you breathe out, you release carbon dioxide. Plants take it in during photosynthesis, building leaves, stems, and roots. Animals eat those plants. Decomposers break down what is left. Volcanoes emit it. Oceans absorb it. Some of this carbon becomes fossil fuels, some becomes stone, and some lingers in the air. This global exchange helps regulate climate, support life, and shape ecosystems. It is a cycle that moves not just through years, but through eons. And right now, it is out of balance, tilted by human activity. Understanding this cycle helps us see Earth not as static, but as breathing, in and out, light and dark, growth and decay. A living system quietly spinning in space. Bacteria were the first builders of Earth's surface. Before plants, before animals, even before the oxygen we breathe, there were bacteria. And some of them built structures that still stand today. Stromatolites are ancient rock-like formations found in shallow waters around the world. They are made by cyanobacteria, microbes that trap and bind sediments over time, layer by layer. Fossilized stromatolites date back over 3.5 billion years. They are among the oldest evidence of life on Earth. These microbial communities helped shape the planet's surface and atmosphere, releasing oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. Eventually, that oxygen changed everything, paving the way for complex life. Today, living stromatolites can still be found in places like Shark Bay, Australia. Quiet, strange, and ancient, they stand as monuments to the earliest engineers. Builders without tools, architects without eyes. Just patient, microscopic life laying the groundwork for all that followed. Dolphins have names for each other. In the ocean's shimmering blue, dolphins communicate with an intricate language of clicks and whistles. But there is something even more remarkable. They seem to have names. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle early in life, a kind of acoustic ID. Other dolphins learn and remember this whistle, using it to call out to specific individuals. It is not mimicry, it is recognition. When researchers played back a dolphin's own signature whistle, the animal responded just like a person might turn when hearing their name. This behavior suggests a level of social memory and identity previously thought to be uniquely human. Dolphins live in complex, ever-changing groups. Being able to identify and track individuals helps maintain bonds, manage relationships, and navigate their fluid social world. In the deep, dolphins speak, and in their calls, we glimpse something astonishing. The roots of language echoing beneath the waves. The Sahara was once a lush green paradise. Today, the Sahara stretches like a golden sea, vast, hot, and dry. But not so long ago, it was something else entirely. Roughly 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, much of the Sahara was green. Rain fell regularly, rivers flowed, lakes shimmered in the sun. Wildlife roamed the grasslands. Elephants, crocodiles, giraffes, and humans lived there, leaving behind cave paintings of abundant life. This period, known as the African Humid Period, was driven by subtle shifts in Earth's orbit, which altered the strength of seasonal monsoons. Eventually, the rains faded and the desert returned, but deep beneath the sands lie ancient lake beds, fossilized trees, and buried evidence of a world transformed. The Sahara is not just a desert, it is a memory, a reminder that even the harshest landscapes were once soft, green and alive, and might be again one day. bees can understand the concept of zero. They are tiny, they buzz, and they pollinate our world. But bees can also do something astonishing. They seem to understand zero. In experiments, bees were trained to associate fewer shapes with a sweet reward. When presented with a blank card, no shapes at all, they correctly chose it over cards with one or more. This suggests that bees grasp the abstract idea that none is less than some. Only a few animals, like chimpanzees, dolphins, and parrots, have demonstrated this kind of numerical reasoning. That bees with their tiny brains can do the same is remarkable. It hints at a form of intelligence not limited by brain size, but shaped by need and evolution. Inside a hive, thousands of minds work as one. But even the individual bee holds surprises: small body, big mind, a quiet buzz, and a brilliant brain. Wolves changed the shape of rivers. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park in the 1990s, something incredible happened. They did not just affect deer populations, they reshaped the entire landscape. With fewer grazing animals, vegetation along riverbanks recovered. Trees and shrubs grew taller. Birds returned. Beavers built dams. The healthier plant life stabilized the soil, reducing erosion and changing how water flowed. In some places, rivers became more narrow and meandering, more stable. This phenomenon, known as a trophic cascade, shows how a single species can affect an entire ecosystem. Wolves, by simply doing what wolves do, created a ripple effect that transformed forests, waterways, and animal populations. It is a powerful reminder that nature is interconnected in ways we often do not see. Every creature plays a role, sometimes subtle, sometimes profound, and in the howl of a returning wolf, the land begins to heal. Flowers can hear the buzz of bees. We often think of flowers as passive, colorful, fragrant, and still, but some flowers are listening. Research has shown that certain plants can respond to the sound of a bee's buzz. When a pollinator approaches, the vibration of its wings triggers the flower to produce sweeter nectar within just minutes. The flower does not have ears, of course, but its petals vibrate in response to sound, acting like sensory organs that detect specific frequencies. This helps ensure the plant offers a better reward exactly when a pollinator is nearby. It is a quiet dialogue. The bee calls, the flower answers. This subtle acoustic awareness adds another layer to how we understand plant behavior. Even without nerves or brains, plants can sense, respond, and adapt in real time. The garden is not silent. It is full of delicate humming conversations. Lichens are two organisms living as one. On stones, tree bark, and mountain cliffs, you will find lichens, simple, crusty patches of color clinging to the surface. But these quiet organisms hold a surprising truth. They are not one life form, but two or sometimes more. A lichen is a partnership between a fungus and an alga or cyanobacterium. The fungus provides structure and protection. The photosynthetic partner makes food from sunlight. Together they survive in places too harsh for either alone, from Arctic tundra to dry deserts. It is not always a gentle partnership. Sometimes the fungus dominates, shaping the alga into submission. But the result is resilience, a blended life form that can thrive where few others can. Lichens are ancient, stable, and essential to many ecosystems. They break down rock into soil, provide food, and create shelter. Two species, one life, a quiet collaboration written into the surface of the world. Water bears may outlive every other species. They are microscopic, squishy, and surprisingly cute. But tardigrades, also known as water bears, are among the toughest organisms on Earth. You have met them before in this list, surviving space, but their resilience goes even deeper. Tardigrades can endure freezing, boiling, intense radiation, crushing pressure, and total dehydration. They have been found on mountaintops, at the bottom of oceans, and deep within solid ice. When conditions get harsh, they curl into a dormant state called a tun, essentially hitting pause on life itself. In this state, they can survive for decades, maybe even centuries. Some scientists believe that tardigrades could even survive mass extinction events that wipe out larger life forms, from asteroid impacts to global radiation. They are not invincible, but they are astonishingly prepared. In the quiet corners of the world, the water bear waits, tiny, eternal, and ready to begin again. Naked mole rats do not age like other mammals. They are strange, wrinkled, and live underground. But naked mole rats are one of the most biologically fascinating mammals alive. Unlike most creatures, they seem to defy the usual patterns of aging. They do not show a typical increase in mortality risk as they get older. They resist cancer, tolerate low oxygen environments, and live up to 30 years, an incredibly long time for a rodent. Their cells remain stable. Their proteins resist damage. In fact, a 5-year-old mole rat looks very much like a 25-year-old one, internally at least. They live in complex underground colonies with a single breeding queen, much like insects. Scientists study them for clues about longevity, cancer resistance, and resilience under stress. In the dim tunnels beneath the earth, these creatures lead quiet, hidden lives, soft-skinned and small, but carrying secrets that may one day help us all. The human body contains trillions of cells. You are made of stardust and stories, and also about 30 trillion cells. Every breath, every thought, every heartbeat is the work of countless microscopic parts, each with its own role. Muscle cells contract. Neurons fire. Red blood cells deliver oxygen. Skin cells renew. Gut cells digest. Immune cells defend. Together, these diverse cells form a single unified body, one being made of many. But your body is also full of movement. Cells are constantly dying and being replaced. You rebuild yourself piece by piece every day. You are not static. You are a living symphony of cellular cooperation, and still somehow it all works in balance. Even now, as you rest, millions of cells are working quietly to keep you whole. You are not one thing. You are a community, a miracle of coordination, humming softly beneath your skin. Some parrots can outsmart a toddler. They are colorful, talkative, and often playful. But parrots are also among the most intelligent animals on the planet. Studies have shown that some species, like the African grey parrot, can count, understand concepts like same and different, and even grasp the idea of zero. One famous parrot named Alex learned to identify colors, shapes, and quantities. He could ask for what he wanted, express frustration, and answer complex questions. In many tasks, he performed on par with, or better than, a human toddler. Parrots use their intelligence in the wild too, solving problems, navigating social groups, and even using tools. Their brains are structured differently from ours, but evolution has found a parallel path. When a parrot speaks, it is not just mimicking, it may also be thinking. Bright feathers, brighter minds, and a little bird that just might be smarter than you think. The ocean holds more life than all land combined. We walk the land. We live beneath the sky, but most of Earth's life is hidden beneath the waves. The ocean covers more than 70% of the planet's surface and contains the vast majority of all living biomass. From the tiniest plankton to the largest whales, from glowing jellies to forests of kelp, marine life thrives in forms almost too numerous to count. Coral reefs, open water, deep trenches, each supports a unique community. Even a single drop of seawater can contain thousands of microscopic organisms. We have only explored a fraction of the deep ocean. Much of it remains untouched, mysterious, and brimming with unknown life. The sea is not empty. It is teeming, a vast living world beneath the surface, pulsing with currents and song. The greatest wilderness on Earth is blue. Earth's oldest living creature is a quaking tree. In a quiet grove in Utah stands what may be the oldest known living organism on Earth. It does not look ancient, just a cluster of ordinary trees with trembling leaves. But beneath the surface, they are all connected. This is Pando, a clonal colony of quaking aspens. Each trunk you see is genetically identical, part of the single root system that may be over 80,000 years old. Pando does not reproduce with seeds. Instead, it sends up new stems from its roots, generation after generation, forming a living forest made of one tree. Though individual trunks die and regrow, the organism as a whole endures. It has survived ice ages, storms, and time itself. A forest that is also a single being, ancient, quiet, and still very much alive, rooted in place and reaching always toward the sky. Some viruses can be beneficial. When we think of viruses, we usually think of illness, but not all viruses are harmful. Some play essential roles in shaping life, evolution, and even our health. Certain viruses attack harmful bacteria in the human gut, helping to maintain microbial balance. Others influence gene expression, insert useful DNA into our genomes, or help cells adapt to stress. In fact, a portion of the human genome, nearly 8%, comes from ancient viral DNA passed down over millions of years. Some of these viral genes are now vital to our biology, involved in everything from brain development to reproduction. Viruses are not just invaders. They are part of life's history and part of its future. Tiny threads woven into the fabric of who we are, not only as threats, but sometimes as allies. Sharks have been on Earth longer than trees. Sharks are often seen as modern predators, sleek, fast, and dangerous. But their lineage is older than it appears. Sharks have existed for over 400 million years. Trees, by comparison, only appeared around 350 million years ago. That means sharks were swimming in Earth's oceans before a single leaf shaded the land. They have survived 5 mass extinctions, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Their basic body plan has changed very little over time, a testament to how effective and well adapted they are. Modern sharks come in hundreds of forms, from gentle whale sharks to hammerheads and deep-sea lantern sharks. But all carry the legacy of deep time, a lineage almost unimaginably old. Each glide through the water is a movement shaped by eons, silent, steady, and enduring. Rainforests make their own clouds. Rainforests are not just shaped by the weather, they help create it. Every day, trees draw water from the soil and release it through their leaves in a process called transpiration. This moisture rises into the air and condenses into clouds. In places like the Amazon, This constant cycling of water helps sustain rainfall, not just locally, but across entire regions. When the forest is healthy, it supports its own climate. But when trees are lost, the effect is profound. Less moisture means fewer clouds, and eventually less rain. A tipping point can be reached where the forest can no longer sustain itself. Rainforests are not just passive landscapes. They are engines of the atmosphere, breathing out mist, cloud, and life. When you stand beneath the canopy, you are standing in the lungs of a continent. Some crabs decorate themselves with living sponges. In the coastal shallows, one small creature practices a quiet kind of camouflage with a twist. Decorator crabs do not just blend into their environment. They become part of it. They carefully pick up bits of algae, seaweed, and sponges and attach them to their shells using hooked hairs. Some even place live sponges on their backs, which continue to grow as the crab moves. This serves multiple purposes: hiding from predators, mimicking the surroundings, and sometimes even gaining chemical protection. The sponge may release toxins or unpleasant tastes, making the crab less appetizing. It is a collaboration, not quite symbiosis, but close. A moving reef, a creature that wears its home like a costume, constantly adjusting to remain unseen. In the quiet waters, disguise becomes art. Insects outnumber humans by billions to one. The world belongs to insects. For every human on Earth, there are an estimated 200 million insects. They live in every ecosystem, from rainforest canopies to frozen tundra, from desert sands to ocean shores. Beetles alone make up nearly a quarter of all known animal species. Insects pollinate crops, recycle nutrients, break down waste, and feed countless other creatures. They have been here for over 400 million years and have survived every extinction event. Some live for minutes, others for years. They build cities, wage wars, and even farm. Their societies can be complex, their adaptations endless. Though small, they are mighty, shaping the world in ways most of us never see. We may rule the land in our own minds, but the insects were here first, and they will likely be here long after we are gone. Birds of paradise perform elaborate dances to mate. Deep in the rainforests of New Guinea and nearby islands, birds of paradise display an almost unbelievable beauty. Feathers shimmer in metallic blues, fiery oranges, and velvet blacks. Some sprout plumes like streamers. Others unfold fans or bounce on long-tail wires. But it is not just about looks. These birds perform elaborate dances, each species with its own choreography. They hop, spin, bow, and pose in precise sequences, accompanied by clicks, whistles, and flutters. Females watch from above, choosing mates based on performance. This intense selection has driven the evolution of some of the most extravagant traits in the animal kingdom. Behind every dance is a quiet story of patience, of showmanship, and of life's wild creativity. In these courtship rituals, we glimpse evolution's flair for the dramatic and nature's love of spectacle. Spiders use silk that is stronger than steel. In the quiet corners of attics, trees, and garden gates, spiders spin something extraordinary. Their silk, drawn from their bodies in long, delicate strands, is among the strongest materials in nature. Weight for weight, spider silk is stronger than steel and far more flexible. It can stretch without breaking, absorb enormous energy, and form complex structures like webs, nets, and egg sacs. Each thread is made from proteins arranged in microscopic patterns, assembled with perfect precision. Different spiders produce different kinds of silk, each with its own purpose: sticky, smooth, tough, or soft. Some can even spin silk underwater or while gliding through the air. Scientists study spider silk for use in medical sutures, bulletproof materials, and lightweight engineering. But for now, the spider spins quietly, crafting miracles from within. One silky thread at a time, fireflies use light to talk to each other. On warm summer nights, the dark comes alive with tiny flashes of light. Fireflies, also known as lightning bugs, communicate with bioluminescent signals, blinking patterns that vary by species, region, and even gender. Males fly through the air, flashing specific rhythms. Females respond with timed replies from the grass or trees. It is a courtship dialogue written in light. Some species blink slowly, others rapidly. A few emit a soft, steady glow. Inside their abdomen, fireflies mix chemicals like luciferin and oxygen to create this cold, glowing light, a process that produces no heat. It is one of nature's quietest, most enchanting conversations. But fireflies also use their light to warn predators. Some species taste bitter or are mildly toxic. Their glow is both beauty and signal, a living language of flashes that dances through the dark. Some monkeys use medicinal plants to heal. In the forests of Africa and South America, some monkeys do more than eat plants. They use them as medicine. Researchers have observed chimpanzees and other primates deliberately seeking out bitter, non-nutritive plants when sick or injured. They chew the pith of specific stems, swallow rough leaves whole, or rub certain substances onto their skin. Many of these plants contain antibacterial, antifungal, or antiparasitic compounds. One example, chimpanzees with intestinal parasites will often eat bitter leaves that help purge the worms. They do not consume these plants casually, only when symptoms appear. This behavior is known as zoopharmacognosy, animal self-medication. It challenges the idea that only humans use healing remedies. The knowledge may be instinctive, passed down, or both. But it reveals a hidden intelligence. Among the branches and leaves, a quiet pharmacy waits, and some animals already know how to use it. Algae produce most of the oxygen you breathe. Every breath you take is a gift, not just from trees, but from the ocean. Tiny organisms called phytoplankton, drifting near the surface of the sea, perform photosynthesis just like plants. They absorb sunlight, take in carbon dioxide, and release oxygen. Despite their microscopic size, these algae produce more than half of Earth's breathable oxygen. They form the invisible foundation of marine food chains, supporting everything from krill to whales. But their role in the atmosphere is just as vital. Without them, the balance of gases in the air would change, and so would the climate. Phytoplankton respond to temperature, currents, and nutrients, and are deeply sensitive to changes in the ocean. They are not visible from shore, but they are everywhere, a shimmering cloud beneath the waves. With each exhale, remember the ocean is breathing with you. Crows can plan for the future. In the quiet corners of forests and cities, crows go about their day with purpose and remarkable foresight. These birds, members of the corvid family, have been observed saving tools for future use, hiding food in secure places, and even bartering for rewards. In experiments, crows have chosen a less tasty treat in the moment if it meant getting something better later. They have used sticks to fish out food, bent wires into hooks, and shown an understanding of cause and effect. Some even remember the faces of people who have wronged them and hold grudges for years. Their intelligence rivals that of great apes, despite their much smaller brains. And unlike many animals, crows seem to think ahead, not just act on impulse. They are planners, problem solvers, quiet minds in feathered coats, watching, learning, and remembering. Snakes can see heat with their faces. For some snakes, sight does not end with light. They can also see heat. Pit vipers, pythons, and boas possess special organs called pit receptors, small openings on their faces that detect infrared radiation. This allows them to sense the body heat of warm-blooded prey, even in total darkness. The image they perceive is not like human vision. It is more like a thermal map, a glowing silhouette of warm shapes against a cooler background. This ability gives snakes a powerful edge during nocturnal hunts, helping them strike with astonishing accuracy. It is not magic, but physics tuned into biology. Some scientists compare it to having a sixth sense. The world, seen through heat and not light, is a reminder that every species moves through its own version of reality, shaped by the tools evolution has given them and by what they need to survive. The Arctic tundra blooms all at once. For most of the year, the Arctic tundra sleeps beneath ice, wind, and silence. But when summer arrives, brief, bright, and urgent, everything changes. In a matter of days, frozen soil softens. The sun stays in the sky nearly all day, and the ground erupts with flowers, mosses and grasses in a sudden, breathtaking bloom. It is not a gradual awakening. It is an explosion of color, scent, and life. Pollinators buzz. Birds return to nest. Mammals forage and raise their young. All of it must happen in a short window, sometimes just 8 weeks before winter returns. It is a burst of energy that echoes across the food web. The tundra, though harsh and still, knows how to seize the moment. And in this ancient rhythm of stillness and bloom, life keeps time with the sun. There is a fungus that turns ants into zombies. Deep in tropical forests, a quiet and eerie transformation unfolds. A parasitic fungus, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, infects ants and takes control of their behavior. Once inside, the fungus spreads through the ant's body, eventually reaching its brain. The ant, still alive, is compelled to leave its colony, climb a plant stem, and clamp onto a leaf or twig. There it dies, and the fungus continues to grow. A stalk bursts from the back of the ant's head, releasing spores into the air to infect others. It is not science fiction. It is a real biological strategy perfected over millions of years. Though horrifying, it is also a striking example of how deeply evolution can shape behavior. The forest holds beauty, yes, but also a darker elegance. And sometimes the smallest organisms wield the most chilling power. Sea cucumbers can liquefy their bodies. At first glance, a sea cucumber might not look like much, just a soft, sausage-shaped creature lying on the ocean floor. But it holds a remarkable ability. It can turn itself into liquid. When threatened or navigating tight spaces, a sea cucumber can alter the stiffness of its body by rearranging the proteins in its connective tissue. In seconds, it goes from firm and solid to nearly jelly-like, flowing into cracks and crevices for safety. Then, just as quickly, it can firm up again. Some species can even expel parts of their internal organs as a defense mechanism and then regenerate them later. It is a survival strategy like no other, shape-shifting without bones, muscles, or conscious effort, soft, silent, and strangely magical. In the slow rhythm of the sea cucumber glides, dissolving and reforming like water in the shape of life. Some fish communicate with electricity. In the murky rivers of Africa and South America, certain fish carry a hidden language. They emit weak electrical pulses from specialized organs in their bodies. These pulses can be used to navigate, to find prey, and to communicate with one another. Each species has its own unique pattern, like a dialect, and individuals can even recognize each other by their signature signals. Some use rapid bursts to warn rivals. Others send rhythmic pulses during courtship. It is a sense invisible to us, but vivid to them. This electric communication is not about shocking or harming, but about sharing information in waters where vision is limited. A quiet flicker of current in the dark, a conversation written in sparks, drifting beneath the surface. Penguins propose with pebbles. In the icy, windswept colonies of Antarctica and beyond, Gentoo penguins have a tender tradition. When a male is ready to mate, he searches for the smoothest, most perfect pebble he can find. He carries it carefully in his beak and presents it to a female. If she accepts, she places it in her nest, and a bond is formed. These pebble offerings are not just symbolic. They also help build and strengthen the nest, raising it above melting snow or encroaching water. But the gesture carries weight beyond practicality. It is courtship, trust, and partnership expressed in stone. Among the endless ice and noise of the colony, two penguins stand close, joined by the gift of a pebble, a small and enduring promise. Some plants can count. In the quiet world of leaves and roots, numbers may not seem to matter. But some plants can, in a sense, count. The Venus flytrap, for example, will not close its trap unless it senses multiple touches on its sensitive hairs within a short time. One touch could be random, but 2 or 3 mean prey is truly there. Other plants show similar abilities, adjusting their responses based on repeated signals, measuring intervals, and keeping track of patterns. It is not counting in the human sense, but it is a form of arithmetic built into their biology. Plants measure, compare, and decide, silently and patiently. What seems passive may in fact be precise. A different kind of intelligence written into the rhythm of growth. Whales have cultures. In the open sea, whales live in more than just pods. They live in cultures. Different populations of orcas, for example, have distinct hunting techniques, dialects of calls, and even food preferences, all learned and passed down through generations. Humpback whales share evolving songs across entire oceans, melodies that change and spread like fashions. Sperm whales organize into clans with unique click patterns, traditions maintained over decades. These cultural behaviors are not genetic. They are taught, remembered, and shared. They shape identity, social bonds, and survival strategies. Culture, once thought to belong only to humans, ripples quietly through the waves. Whales remind us that intelligence is not just individual. It is collective, carried in memory, voice, and tradition, echoing across the deep. Some animals survive without oxygen. Oxygen feels essential, but not all life needs it. In the dark, salty depths of the Mediterranean, tiny animals called loricifrons live their entire lives without oxygen. Instead, they survive in sediments filled with hydrogen sulfide, a toxic environment where few others can endure. They have adapted to extract energy in ways completely foreign to us, using unique organelles instead of mitochondria. Other creatures, like certain worms and microbes, can also persist in oxygen-free environments. These discoveries remind us that life is not bound by the rules we think are universal. It finds a way in silence, in darkness, in places where breath itself is impossible. Life does not just fill the world we know. It writes new rules wherever it can, shaping existence in forms that seem almost alien. Butterflies taste with their feet. Imagine landing softly on a flower and immediately tasting it through your toes. For butterflies, this is reality. Tiny chemoreceptors on their feet allow them to detect sugars and other chemicals the moment they touch a surface. This ability helps them find nectar-rich flowers quickly and efficiently. It also lets females test leaves to decide where to lay eggs, ensuring their caterpillars will have food when they hatch. What seems like delicate steps are actually sampling touches, each one a question to the world. Sweet or bitter, suitable or not. Butterflies live in a sensory world far different from ours, where every landing is a taste test, every step a decision. Light, fragile, and fleeting, they walk on flavor and drink from the sun. Termites build air-conditioned cities. In the dry heat of savannas, tiny architects shape vast structures. Termite mounds rise meters above the ground, built grain by grain of soil, yet inside they are cool, stable, and perfectly ventilated. The secret lies in their design. Networks of tunnels and chimneys allow air to flow, carrying heat out and drawing fresh air in. The termites themselves open and close passages as needed, adjusting the climate with precision. Inside, they farm fungi, raise their young, and live in organized societies numbering in the millions. These mounds are not random heaps of dirt. They are engineered environments, masterpieces of natural architecture. Silent, busy builders, termites create living cities in miniature. Proof that even the smallest creatures can master the largest challenges. Jellyfish are older than trees. They drift silently through the oceans, translucent and simple. Yet their history stretches back farther than we often realize. Jellyfish have existed for more than 500 million years, predating not only trees but even dinosaurs. Their bodies are mostly water, with no bones, no brain, and no heart. Yet they have endured through every mass extinction Earth has faced. They pulse with quiet rhythm, moved by currents, glowing, in some cases, with bioluminescence. Some grow only millimeters across, while others span meters. Fragile yet eternal, they are proof that survival does not always mean complexity. Sometimes it means simplicity, patience, and a form that works so well it needs little change. In their drifting, we glimpse deep time, the persistence of life through ages beyond human memory. Some frogs communicate with lights. In the dense rainforests of South America, among the damp leaves and glowing fungi, lives a frog that flashes. The pumpkin toadlet, though small and often nearly invisible, emits faint bioluminescent signals under ultraviolet light. Other frog species use visual cues, like inflating their throats or waving their legs to communicate. Some even reflect light in patterns only visible to certain eyes. In a world where sound can be drowned out by countless insect calls, light becomes another way to be heard. Frogs, like fireflies, remind us that communication is as diverse as life itself. In the dark forest, a tiny glow or gesture becomes a message, a sign, a quiet language written in color. Some animals can regrow entire body parts. In the still waters of ponds and streams, salamanders hold a secret that feels almost magical. When they lose a leg, a tail, or even parts of their heart or eyes, they can regrow them completely. Cells, at the site of the injury, revert to a more flexible state. Then divide and rebuild the missing structure, perfectly patterned and functional. Starfish and planarians, flatworms, can do the same, regrowing arms or even whole bodies from fragments. This regenerative ability is rare in mammals, though humans can heal wounds and regrow small parts like fingertips in children. Scientists study these creatures in hopes of unlocking similar powers for medicine. Imagine regrowing a lost limb, a damaged organ, or even repairing the heart after injury. For salamanders, it is simply life as usual. A quiet reminder that some bodies remember how to begin again. Trees can live for thousands of years. In groves and mountain slopes around the world, there are trees older than empires, older than languages, older even than much of recorded history. Bristlecone pines in California stand silent and twisted, some over 4,000 years old. In Wales, a yew tree has lived for perhaps 5,000 years. In Sweden, a clonal spruce has roots that are more than 9,000 years old. These trees have endured storms, droughts, fires, and centuries of change. Their growth rings record the history of climate, year by year, a diary written in wood. Though they may seem still and slow, they are among the most enduring beings on Earth. To stand before them is to stand before time itself, rooted, ancient, and alive. Some birds sleep while flying. High above the oceans, frigate birds soar for weeks without landing. During these long journeys, they do something almost unthinkable. They sleep in the air. Using a state called unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, they rest one half of their brain at a time, keeping the other half alert to maintain flight and avoid danger. They may nap for only seconds at a time, but over days and weeks, it adds up. Dolphins and some other animals use the same strategy in water. For these birds, it means they can travel thousands of miles without pause, navigating storms, winds, and endless skies. To sleep while flying is to live in motion, a quiet balance between rest and survival, eyes half closed, wings never still. Some animals can survive being boiled. It sounds impossible, but the microscopic water bear, the tardigrade, has already appeared in our journey for its extreme survival. It deserves another mention. Tardigrades can survive brief exposure to temperatures over 150 degrees Celsius, far hotter than boiling water. They achieve this by entering cryptobiosis, a dried-out, paused state where almost all biological activity stops. In this condition, proteins and sugars protect their cells from damage, allowing them to endure extremes of heat, cold, radiation, and pressure. When conditions improve, they rehydrate and return to life. For us, boiling means the end. For a tardigrade, it may only mean waiting. Patient and resilient, a tiny creature that redefines what life can endure. Some animals navigate by the stars. On clear nights, migratory birds, dung beetles, and even seals have been shown to orient themselves using the stars above. Birds often rely on constellations, adjusting their course during long migrations. Dung beetles, astonishingly, can roll their precious cargo in straight lines by orienting themselves to the glow of the Milky Way. Experiments in planetariums confirmed that when the stars are visible, they move with purpose, but when the sky is clouded, they wander. This cosmic navigation links the smallest creatures to the vast patterns of the night sky. It is a reminder that above every wing beat, every crawl, and every swim, the stars shine not just for us, but as guides for countless other beings. Some fish walk on land, in tidal pools and muddy shores. Some fish carry a secret talent, The mudskipper, for example, can use its fins to push itself across land, breathing through its skin and the lining of its mouth and throat. It spends much of its life between water and land, hopping, climbing roots, and even digging burrows in the mud. Other fish, like the climbing perch, can travel short distances over land to find new ponds. These abilities blur the boundary between water and earth, echoing the ancient moment when fish first crawled onto land hundreds of millions of years ago. Evolution is not finished. It continues, quietly, in every step of a fish that dares to walk. Some insects farm just like humans. Ants are known for their industry, but some go further. Leafcutter ants harvest fresh leaves, not to eat, but to feed fungus gardens deep underground. They carefully cut, carry, and tend their fungal crops, removing pests and adding nutrients. In return, the fungus produces food the ants can digest, termites to farm fungi inside their mounds. Even some beetles cultivate fungi in galleries within trees. This agricultural behavior is millions of years old, predating human farming by an astonishing margin. These insects show that cultivation is not uniquely human. It is a strategy life has invented more than once, a partnership between grower and grown. A quiet green revolution carried out on 6 legs. Some lizards can squirt blood from their eyes. In the deserts of North America, the horned lizard has a defense that seems almost unbelievable. When threatened, it can build up pressure in its head and squirt a stream of blood from the corners of its eyes. This startles predators and, in some cases, contains chemicals that taste unpleasant or even toxic. The display is brief but effective, giving the lizard a chance to escape. Alongside this, it uses camouflage, spiny armor, and the ability to puff up its body. But the blood squirt remains its strangest and most memorable defense. A reminder that survival can take bizarre and unexpected forms. In the silence of the desert, a small creature carries a dramatic secret. Written in crimson arcs, some animals can live without brains. Jellyfish drift. Sea squirts anchor. Starfish crawl across the seafloor. None of them have what we would recognize as a brain, and yet they live full lives. Jellyfish use simple nerve nets to detect light, touch, and orientation, coordinating their pulsing movement. Starfish use a decentralized system, with nerve rings around their bodies that let their arms move in harmony. Sea squirts absorb their own rudimentary brains once they settle as adults, spending the rest of their lives attached to rocks, filtering water, and reproducing. These creatures remind us that brains are not the only path to survival. Life writes itself in many ways, and intelligence, as we know it, is only one branch on a vast and tangled tree. Some animals live in boiling acid pools. In volcanic regions around the world, steaming pools of acid, bubble, and smoke. For most life, these places are lethal. But extremophiles, particularly certain microbes, thrive there. Acidophiles live in conditions so acidic they would dissolve flesh. Thermophiles endure heat near boiling. Some even combine both, living in hot, acidic springs where pH is nearly 0 and temperatures approach 100 degrees Celsius. They survive by using unique enzymes and proteins that remain stable under conditions that would destroy ordinary life. These microbes may resemble the earliest organisms on Earth, and they show us that life can persist in places we would never expect. They remind us that what seems impossible is sometimes simply another way of being alive. Some creatures survive complete decapitation. Among the strangest survivors are planarian cut them into pieces, and each fragment can regrow into a whole new worm. Even if the head is removed, the body can regenerate a new brain, eyes, and all. Stem cells called neoblasts drive this regeneration, holding the instructions to rebuild nearly any tissue. Other animals, like certain sea slugs, can also survive decapitation, regrowing entire bodies from just their heads. For them, it is not just survival but strategy, shedding infected or damaged parts to begin anew. To us, the loss of a head is the end. For them, it is only another beginning. Life, in its resilience, sometimes rewrites even the rules we thought unbreakable. Some ants are explosive. Deep in the forests of Southeast Asia live ants with a deadly and unusual defense. When threatened, they can rupture their own bodies, releasing a sticky, toxic fluid that traps and harms attackers. This self-destructive behavior, called autothysis, sacrifices the individual for the survival of the colony. The exploding ants live in highly competitive environments where extreme measures help protect their kin. Their bodies are built for it, with enlarged glands filled with the defensive secretion. It is a reminder that survival does not always mean saving the self. In the hidden wars of the insect world, even sacrifice can be written into biology. A final act of protection carried out in silence. Some animals can become invisible. Camouflage takes many forms, but some creatures take it to extremes. Cuttlefish, octopuses, and squid are masters of invisibility, using specialized skin cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores. They can change color, pattern, and even texture in milliseconds. They blend seamlessly into rocks, sand, or coral, vanishing before the eye. Some mimic not just backgrounds, but other animals, imitating predators or prey. This ability is not only for hiding, but also for communication, signaling warnings, aggression, or attraction. Watching an octopus melt from stone to sand to seaweed is like watching magic, yet it is pure biology. The ocean holds some of the greatest illusionists alive, shapeshifters who carry invisibility in their skin. Some birds use tools. Tool use was once thought to be uniquely human, but crows, parrots, and even woodpecker finches prove otherwise. They strip leaves into hooks, use sticks to fish insects from bark, or drop nuts onto roads for cars to crack open. Some cockatoos have been observed making sets of tools for different purposes, adjusting their design with care. This shows foresight, planning, and creativity. It is not instinct alone, but flexible problem solving. These birds remind us that intelligence perches in many branches of the tree of life. The spark of innovation, the ability to see a problem and invent a solution, is not just ours to hold. Some fish change color instantly. Beneath the waves, certain fish shimmer and vanish with a flicker of light. Reef dwellers like parrotfish and groupers can shift their colors rapidly, adjusting for camouflage, mood, or communication. Specialized cells in their skin, much like those of octopuses, allow them to scatter or absorb light in different ways. These changes can be subtle, a faint blush during courtship, or dramatic, a sudden transformation that confuses predators. The ocean is full of shifting hues, a living canvas painted and repainted with each passing moment. Life does not hold still. It glimmers, fades, and reappears in a constant quiet dance of color. Some animals live for centuries. In the cold waters near Greenland, the Greenland shark glides slowly, carrying centuries in its flesh. Radiocarbon dating of their eye lenses suggests some individuals may be over 400 years old, making them the longest-lived vertebrates known. On land, giant tortoises can live for more than 150 years. In the sea, quahog clams have been found alive after more than 500 years. These creatures endure through generations, their lives stretching across human history. They are reminders that time moves differently for each species, that patience and slowness can carry life further than speed. Quietly, steadily, they live beyond our sense of a lifetime, witnesses to centuries of change. Some insects here with their legs, grasshoppers, crickets, and katydids sing into the night with chirps and stridulations. But where are their ears? Often not on their heads, but on their legs. Tiny tympanal organs near their knees detect vibrations in the air, letting them hear songs and calls. This sense guides them in finding mates, avoiding predators, and navigating their acoustic world. Other insects place their ears on their wings or bodies. Evolution has scattered hearing across forms we might not expect. For insects, music begins not in the head but in the limbs, a reminder that senses can be shaped in many ways. And sound itself is a dance of vibrations felt as much as heard. Some animals never sleep. At least, not in any way we recognize. Certain species of jellyfish, sea urchins, and bullfrogs show little or no evidence of traditional sleep. Instead, they rest in cycles that do not resemble the long stretches of slumber common in mammals. Some may enter reduced states of activity but without distinct sleep phases. Others, like dolphins, sleep with only half the brain at a time, as we have seen. Sleep, it seems, is not universal. Life finds many ways to balance activity and rest, conserving energy in rhythms that may not resemble our own. Rest does not always look like closing eyes. Sometimes it is just a pause, a slowing, a momentary drift before beginning again. Some creatures can clone themselves. In tide pools and quiet lagoons, starfish, sea anemones, and certain worms can reproduce by splitting apart. A single body becomes two, each regenerating the missing pieces until two complete individuals exist. This form of asexual reproduction allows rapid population growth when conditions are good. Other animals, like aphids, use cloning to exploit seasonal abundance, switching to sexual reproduction only when needed. Even some sharks and lizards have been known to reproduce without mates, though less commonly. Cloning blurs the line between one and many, self and other. It is not the path humans take, but it is one of life's many quiet strategies, multiplying existence without waiting for a partner. Some animals end as drifting lights. In the final stages of life, some jellyfish disintegrate into glowing fragments, their bioluminescence scattering into the water like fading stars. Fireflies, too, flicker one last time before their short lives end, leaving brief trails of light in the night. These endings are not grand or loud, but soft, luminous farewells, reminders that even in death, life can shine. The earth itself is alive with rhythm. From the shifting of tides to the turning of seasons, from the heartbeat of forests to the pulse of coral reefs, the planet carries cycles upon cycles. We breathe in time with trees. We sleep under skies filled with stars that gave us our bones. Life is not just around us. It is within us, beside us, and beyond us. Every creature, from the smallest microbe to the largest whale, is part of this shared story. And as you rest now, drifting in thought, remember that the world is full of quiet miracles. Leaves whispering beneath your feet, ants building bridges of their bodies, whales singing through oceans, tardigrades waiting in silence. A planet alive in ways we are only beginning to understand. So let your breath slow. Let your mind wander. You are stardust. You are part of forests, seas, skies, and stories stretching back billions of years. You are not separate from the wonder of Earth. You are woven into it. Good night, and may you drift gently into dreams carried on the quiet rhythms of life itself.